Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people. Welcome back to ALG Podcast. And I already know this one's going to get a lot of views. Why? Because it's got nutrition on the title. And immediately, everyone's like, oh, tell me the secrets. Tell me the secrets. What do you think?
I think we're going to get like at least 1,500 DMs on how to do it.
Yep. And it's going to be the classic. I already know this is where it's going to go because we're going to both share our experiences, our stories, like how we do things. And I think we're going to get some fun, supportive comments. We're also going to get some haters, but that's going to be fun to deal with because
I love the hate. So send the hate.
It's fun. It's fun. So actually what I thought I would start off this podcast with is, so I do intermittent fasting as a part of my protocol. And so it's 3:00 now, which is usually between 3 and 4 is my second meal of the day. And so I usually eat between noon and 8. And so right now I'm eating a provolone cheese wrap with a turkey slice, a pickle, and some mustard. So cheers.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
The ASMR. Get it. Go closer to you got to get closer. There it is.
Oh, that was gross.
That was disgusting.
That was so funny. The reason, I'll kind of go into it real quick. I don't live super low carb anymore. However, I do keep my carbs in check. I tend to not eat more than 200 carbs a day, 150 on a day-to-day time period. Why? Because I've done both. I've tried the higher carb diet. My body does great low carb.
Right.
It does.
As does mine.
Well,
I'm never one to like count anything. I just kind of know what to eat and what not to eat anymore. And I'm going to get a lot of hate from that because I get it all the time. Oh, how do you not count, carbs?
You don't count? Okay.
I don't ever. I count calories sort of, but I don't know. I eat so much of the same thing in my day-to-day life because I've just developed this routine and I'm just, I meal prep during the week. I've said that before. I eat 3 meals a day when I'm at work and I eat my dinner and I don't eat breakfast. I have a protein shake sometimes and I drink coffee and that's really about it. And on the weekend, I kind of lax a little bit, but I never really eat a shit ton of carbs. You know what I'm saying? Like, on the weekends, I'll have my pretzels. I wait all week and then I love pretzels, bro. If you come to my house and you open up the cabinet, there is legitimately 5 different types of pretzels in my house at all times. Okay. Different shapes, rods, different brands.
I'm just
just a pretzel loving kind of guy. But yeah, man. I mean, I keep my carbs in check. That's really all I've ever worried about. I keep my protein high. And yeah, I guess we could roll the credits on this episode now. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Have a good one, guys. Honestly, the only thing going through my head now is, do I keep eating this meal or do I just wait to the end of the meal? I'm gonna wait because it's just
you should just keep eating, but you have to get really close.
But and everyone get ready. I'm gonna start doing everything. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'll eat the rest of this after this episode. But yeah, it's very interesting when we talk about nutrition.
Right.
I loved Gormy's episode where we talk about this. The way I would explain yours. So first things first, have you ever heard of the 4 competencies or the 4 levels of learning?
No.
All right. So first level of learning is unconscious incompetence, meaning what does unconscious mean? It means you're unaware. Incompetence means you don't know.
Right.
So you're unaware that you don't know.
Right.
Now, most people live their entire lives just completely unconsciously incompetent. They're completely unaware about information out there.
Right.
Great place to be is conscious incompetence, meaning you're now aware that there's information out there that you do not know.
Right.
Okay. Third tier is when you get mentorship, you get taught consciously competent, meaning I don't know about you at the beginning, but I did weigh my food every day. I weighed everything. I portioned out everything because I needed to know what was in it. And most people have no idea of portion control, and once they learn it, the first step is you have to be thinking about it all the time. You got to, okay, what's my portion size? What's my portion size? How am I doing this? But then you get to where John and I are at. you've been doing it for so long. It's what's called unconsciously competent. So you just do it. Like it's not, you don't have to put a lot of mental energy towards it anymore. It's like when I go to even a fast food restaurant, I know generally what I'm eating without even having to weigh it. Now obviously there's a little bit of margin when it comes to how much oil they're using and all this kind of stuff. But it's like I can go to any restaurant and just because I've been doing it for 7 years, I can just be like, all right, to get my protein where I want to be, to get to where generally I'll eat. Let me get a chicken Caesar salad, double chicken.
Right.
And you just do it. Like, it's not even like and it's like, okay, to control my fats, instead of pouring the dressing, I dip my fork in it.
Yep.
And so, but it's not like a thing I think about anymore. Just like for you, it's like you just do it.
Yeah. Where'd you learn that dipping your fork thing?
That was one of the only.
I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
It was from my when I went to a nutritionist when I was like 17, 18. It was the only thing that I actually did.
Yeah.
I got that from
a nutritionist, and then when I was in Weight Watchers.
Yep. Dip your fork.
They taught that too. Dip your fork.
It's smart because it saves you because dressing. There's nothing wrong with dressing, but it's often fat.
Right.
And fat. The issue with fat is not that fat's bad. It's the fact that fat is so easy to overeat because it's 9 calories per gram. And
see, this is all information that I don't care to know, and I feel like that's so messed up. And I'm gonna get hate for that. But
no, 100%.
I just never. It's not that I didn't care. It was just I was taught to weigh my food. I knew what I had to eat, and then that was it. I would never wanted to break anything down, and I don't know.
Yeah, you're not the science guy. Well, I mean, the great example is
I'm an eater. I don't need to be Alton Brown. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%. The one that gets me is you have 2 types of people out there. When you get in your car and turn the ignition on, do you care to know how the combustion engine works, how your alternator works, and how when you twist the key and where the combustion happens and all this kind of stuff? Or do you just turn the freaking car on and drive it?
I drive the damn thing.
You just like drive it. Personally, with my science background, I'm fascinated with how it works. You're just like, I don't care to know.
Right.
I've learned.
No, yeah. I definitely have the information. Yeah. It's just I don't care to know.
I don't care how electricity runs through my house.
Nope. As long as it does its damn job.
As long as the flip switches.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Exactly. And if I got to pay someone to get that information, then I got to pay someone to get that information, which 100%. It's a two-sided coin of that knowledge. I don't know.
But no, I completely agree where it's like you get into what Gormy says in our previous episode where people overly focus on nutrition and like programs.
Right.
And they use that as a justification of why when it fails, the program failed them. They didn't fail them.
Right. Correct.
So I think as we kind of navigate this nutrition podcast,
this is gonna be an interesting one.
It's gonna be you always have to hammer back to the how is not nearly as important as the commitment to the decision, the accountability to eat to fuel your body, not eat for taste and convenience. Now, obviously, you figure out ways to blend the two, but this idea that, oh well, I tried keto and it didn't work. Let's go have an extra large Jets pizza and eat 4,000 calories.
Right.
That's not how this works. So I guess as we're kind of going into this and the little nuances, I'd love to get your nutrition. If I say the word nutrition to you and I say what this podcast means to you, because guys, the authenticity of you listening to this right now is we just ad lib.
Oh yeah.
We just do. Like it's actually very, very, it often is tough on me because I enjoy to perfect things before doing.
Not I.
Yeah. And so
I'm a trial by fire kind of guy.
No, it's so fun. And somewhere between, it actually works out really well between John and I. It's like somewhere in the middle is the ideal. Because obviously when you think too much, you don't do, you're an issue. And if you do too much without thinking, you're at an issue.
Like, you ever see that meme on Instagram? It's I'm probably just gonna wing it. Something that I probably shouldn't wing. Yeah, that's me.
Oh, exactly. And I'm the guy goes, okay, let me aim. aim,
Yeah.
aim. Oh, there's a variable. There's a variable. Oh, let me find as many variables as possible so I can justify them into making the perfect action.
Yeah.
And then I never move. And like that's always been so. Like it is fun that we're so different in that standpoint.
Of course.
But if I were to if you were just to splurge on talking about nutrition for the next 3 straight minutes, go.
I mean, God damn it, David.
Go.
I mean, all right. So the way that I was taught nutrition, basically, and you touched upon it before, is food is fuel. At the end of the day, we don't eat for enjoyment. Over time, humans have developed this thing of eating for enjoyment, and eating for enjoyment got me to 500 pounds. That's just what it is, cut and dry. But when you take a step back and you realize, well, why does my body react to certain foods differently? You realize that food is fuel. So if you think of your body as a car, as a combustion engine, if you're going to put shitty fuel into your car is going to go nowhere. Your car is going to die. It's not going to move. When you start adding in the right fuel, you do the oil change, this, that, and the third, the car is going to take you where you want to go. Now, just like fuel, there's different levels of food. Okay. There's different levels of fuel that make your car go faster. I learned that when I got my first car. If you put in regular, it's going to go all right. If you put in medium grade, it's going to go a little faster. If you put in that a really expensive, high-test motherfucking gas, it's going to...
But it's more expensive.
It's more expensive, just like dieting. That dirty word that I can't stand. But that's what it is. So when you break down what you're eating in a day and you see, okay, well, I eat, rice, and you see how your body reacts to the rice. Well, I went up, X amount of weight. Well, why is that? Because your body's reacting differently. So that's when you take out different variables, like David said before, and you see what really works with your body. Okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have this much rice. Maybe I need to raise my vegetable intake a little bit. Maybe my protein is a little bit out of whack. And you find that happy medium and you find what works for you. And that's why eating and nutrition is different for everybody. What I eat in a day probably might not work for David. And what David eats in a day probably might not work for me. We're all different. And that is nutrition in a nutshell. It's not cut and dry. And that's what sucks about nutrition. But that's it. It's different for everybody. You can read as many books as you want on nutrition. You can go on as many fad diets as you want. At the end of the day, you need to find what works for you, what's comfortable for you, what fits your daily schedule, and just take it.
100%. Because you sit there, and I applaud you. That was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really good. And that was all on the spot, guys. That was
all golf clap. Because it's like not everyone can sit here and find enjoyment in eating a provolone wrapped ground turkey slice with pickle and mustard.
I mean, I would love that. I'm going to be honest with you, but that's just delicious. But that's because I've programmed my body to eat now.
Yeah, and that is the whole thing too. Is like when you make things a lifestyle, when you make that accountability set where it's like I'm going to primarily eat to fuel my body.
Right.
Now, it doesn't mean you can't splurge on time to time.
And it doesn't mean you shouldn't enjoy what you're eating. I'm not telling you to eat mush.
Yeah. So I was getting ready for my body. Speaking of mush, when I was getting ready for my bodybuilding show, my nutritional program at the time was brutal.
Yeah.
I was eating. So I was down to it was wild. So this is a good, very intriguing story on how the body adapts, how the body tweaks itself. So the 8 weeks going into the show, I was behind on where I wanted to be.
Right.
And so instead of quitting, I just doubled down. I was just like, all right, I got 6 to 8 weeks to lose this amount of body fat. I'm just going to run. Just kind of like the last episode we had. Just like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And so probably not as good as a health thing to do. And this is important to know as well. Like when it comes to nutrition and balance and doing things right. I was eating I got down to 1,200 calories a day.
Right.
It was like 220 grams of protein, 30 some grams of fat, and as little carb as I could do.
Right.
For 8 straight weeks. On top of that, I was doing 2.5 hours of cardio a day, and I was strength training. Now, my body, the 3 weeks before the show was in shambles.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to a chiropractor. I was going to a massage therapist because I was doing hot yoga. I was doing whatever I could because I had crazy hip pain from all the cardio. I had all types of issues. But that was the program needed for that
Right.
balance. But the reason why I say that is because the joke was it was cat food. I was eating ground turkey, cauliflower rice with a little bit of guac.
Okay, but like
Now,
I eat that. Like I eat that as a
true.
you know
No,
you know what
it
I'm
was
saying?
good, but it was
Right.
but like the portion sizes, like I was
Oh, yeah,
1,200
yeah.
calories. Like it was just, but also just the idea of like I eat purely like I focus on eating to fuel my body. Where it was so funny how all my friends around me called it cat food,
Right.
but I didn't mind it.
No.
Like I really didn't. It was tough. It was tough for the sense of the body, just like all the workouts on top. But like the actual nutrition side of things, when you make that flip of a switch, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
It really isn't, because I wasn't coming from a place of sacrifice. I was coming from a place of like, this is just what it takes.
Right.
And so that was very interesting. Now, flip of the coin. This is something to know when you restrict yourself so heavy and you're in such a caloric deficit for so long, and then you let go. My bodybuilding show was on November 2nd. I had this whole plan to reverse diet, like slowly bring my calories back up, slowly do it right, because your body is in this just state of starvation a little bit, and just like if all of a sudden you give it something big, it just sucks it in. It just does. And in 8 weeks post bodybuilding show, I had this whole plan to reverse diet. I didn't do it correctly because of a lot of variables that, I mean, it basically just came down to, guess what? What's around November? Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. I went down to Florida. And so like it was vacation thought process. And I went from 212 on stage at probably like 8% body fat to 256 in 8 weeks. Now, and but I still wasn't binging either. That's the fascinating part. Like, yeah, I gained 40 pounds in 8 weeks.
But you were eating like a normal human being again.
I was just eating like a normal human being, like just pizza occasionally and some ice cream occasionally. And like, but just like that being in such a caloric deficit for so long, being so restrictive, it's fascinating what it does to the body. So that's where it's like, obviously sustainability is a piece of the coin for the most people.
Right.
But yeah, it's just a fun story that I like telling people, because it's just like, you just sit there like, wow. Like have I showed you that picture?
Of which one? Of you
my before and after 9 weeks.
Yeah.
That like how much I gained in that 9 weeks. I mean, I still looked good. Like,
I mean, I've seen it with Steve. Steve Arnone, who was on the show after his first bodybuilding competition. I mean, me and him were talking about it the other day. He looked sickly the first time he jumped on stage, and then I remember how quickly the weight came back, post show, because he wasn't, depriving himself as much of all the key nutrients that he needed. Sure, he was still hitting his mark when he was in prep, but afterward, I remember, I think right after he got off stage, like after the judging was over and the show was over, whatever, he went to the store and he bought like 2 packs of Reese's and something else. And it was just like, okay, I need to put this down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how you can manipulate your body to do what you want it to do based on the things that you put inside of it.
Mm-hmm. And what gets to me too is people don't understand the fact of, outside of being genetically enhanced, like you just have really good genetics.
Right.
It's not often that being shredded is healthy.
Right.
It just isn't. Like the how mentally restrictive you have to be, how physically, emotionally restrictive you have to be. It's not necessarily healthy. So I always, when people ask me questions on like, how do I get 6-pack abs? I'm like, do you really want 6-pack abs? Like, do you like, for most of you,
them?
Yeah. Like, what does that mean to you? And it's like, are you trying to live a healthy life? Are you trying to like, what will be the outcome of getting that? Because I want to know, because so many people have this misconception that 6-pack abs means healthy. Right. It's not true.
Right.
And I think it's more important to create a healthy, happy life than it is to be shredded.
Right.
Unless your body, it's easy for you. Like, if it's easy for your body because you're genetically in that position, sweet.
Right.
Live that life. I'm not going to look down on you because you have 6-pack abs and, oh, wow, you're unhealthy. No, you just are in that position. You can eat healthy and be there. But for anyone listening that's in that position, I just want you to understand, like, if health and happiness is your goal, six pack abs often isn't the
reach.
And the reach, because if you're, especially if you're 80, 100, 200 pounds overweight, you're in a different position.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. There's a difference between health and vanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
Sure, when I was 500 pounds, always what I wanted was six pack abs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
now I got maybe like a 3.5 pack. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like, do I want abs? Absolutely. But it's a lot of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need to like ask yourself, listen, especially someone in, you know, my position, in your position, where we went from the top, meaning the highest weight, and, you know, we worked our way down. Do you want to continue to put your body through a quote unquote hell? Because like you said, it all comes down to genetics. So I personally don't have those genetics. I know
Mm-hmm.
that. I know that I need to work my ass off to have, you know, 4-pack, you know, 6-pack. That's just what I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that I want to do? Yeah, I just want to be able to see it. That's me personally. I want to be able to look back and be like, bang, you did it. Okay, now let's get to that healthy, happy medium, because
Exactly.
that's what life is all about. Finding that healthy, happy place that you can live, and you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you know what? I love who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do that, and there's a lot of people who are on that end of the spectrum and they have the 6-pack abs, they look phenomenal. But 9 times out of 10, I bet you they look in the mirror and they're not happy with who they are.
100%. I mean, that's the catch 22. Like, doing the show and seeing people backstage and talking to people in the fitness industry, it's fascinating to me how many of them have such bad, quote unquote. I don't like the term, because we over dramatize mental illness.
Okay.
Just like you throw the term body dysmorphia around like it's wildfire.
The thing with body dysmorphia is people think that it's just something that people who are formerly heavy have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least in the social media spectrum. If you look on social media, 9 times out of 10, if you look at someone who has body dysmorphia, it's probably someone who lost a dramatic amount of weight, is in that weird zone of, do I get skin surgery? Do I not get skin surgery? Or they're that person who, you know, they were heavy, they're not heavy anymore, and they just don't like who they see in the mirror. You hardly hear of people on a public forum that are quote unquote perfect, having body dysmorphia.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen, because everyone thinks once you look that 6-pack ab, tan, you know, biceps, they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
They're not happy. And I don't want to speak for anybody who's not here, but if you talk to these people, most of the time, they're not as happy as you think that they are.
Exactly. And my reason for saying that is, I'm a huge proponent of how you speak, the way you speak, the way you perceive things is your reality.
Right.
So the reason, when it comes to like the mental illness side of things, I think it's a whole different tangent. I think it's just extremely dangerous when people categorize a poor habit into an illness. Like, right. It's like, I have a bad habit of looking at my body negatively. Okay, let's work on that. I have body dysmorphia. Boom, boom, boom. And it just makes it so much more than what it has to be. You can still acknowledge it. Like, hey,
right. I struggle. I also don't want to take away that from people, because I know people personally that suffer from body dysmorphia. It is a real thing. And
100% it is.
I never want to take that away from anyone, because I have my days where I suffer from body dysmorphia.
100%. I'm like, oh wow, my I've gained a little weight. Here it is. Oh shoot. Right. Like, I agree that happens. I just, one of the things that I convey, but
don't use things as a crutch.
Exactly. Like a cyst on my pituitary gland. Was it there? 100% it was. Do I use that story for the rest of my life to convey to you don't have to be stuck there. That's the thing.
I understand.
People get caught with having this illness instilled upon them, that it's a lifelong thing they always have to deal with. And that's just not true.
Right.
That's my angle to it all. It's like, you don't have to always be stuck in that position. Now, it's something you're dealing with in the moment. It's like obesity. Like you don't have to live in that. Once you're through it, it's like I couldn't even imagine being 400 pounds again. It's just not. It's not even in the cards.
Right.
Like it just isn't, because I've flipped that switch. It's gone. Like that's the angle I want to make sure people convey. Like, can you be in that position now? Yes. Just don't think it has to be a lifelong struggle. That's my convey of it all. That's a whole different tangent. But what I guess the one thing I will do for the sake of, I know it's not up your alley, but I enjoy it because it's just systemizing something is just helpful. So anyone listening, I will go through my 5 basics to nutrition. I think it is important. Obviously, just understanding that there are, like, in my opinion, there are 5 pieces to nutrition, and the variables change depending on what you want to do. But it's like, number 1, hydration.
Yes.
Like drinking a gallon of water a day.
Right.
Or drinking a good amount of water a day is just important.
Guys, 2 bottles of water a day is not good.
Not good. No.
Not good.
I'm just telling you right now, if your yellow's really if your pee's really yellow, you're doing something wrong. And just like, I can go to the science. I talk about my book. Yeah. They did a study with 10,000 kids from the ages of 14 to 19, and they checked their osmolarity levels, which is how concentrated their pee is over a multi-year time frame. Over 70% of kids, over 10,000 people, 10,000 kids, 70% of them lived in a constant state of dehydration.
Yeah.
Constant. Top 3 symptoms for dehydration, like symptoms from it: lack of focus, lack of energy, fat retention.
Yep.
Sounds like a lot of people.
Yeah. You don't realize how dehydrated you are until you actually start to focus on your hydration.
Yep.
I was never.
How much better you feel?
I've always been a water drinker my whole entire life. Even pre-weight loss, I was just never really a big soda guy. I was never really a big iced tea guy.
Ooh, I was.
Yeah. I mean, I had my times, don't get me wrong, but I was always a big water drinker. When I started my weight loss journey, Steve turned around to me and he said, "Listen, bud, you got to start drinking a gallon of water a day." And I was like, "But I already drink so much. Like, I bet you if I started counting it out, I probably hit a gallon." Bro, I started drinking that gallon of water a day. And let me tell you something, when I really got on top of it, and at one point in time, I was drinking 2 gallons of water a day. I was feeling better. I was living better. I was more focused. My joints didn't hurt. Like, just water alone. And you're not hungry all the time. 9 times out of 10, when you feel that random bit of hunger, it's really your body telling you, "Hey, buddy, go drink a fucking glass of water."
100%. Like, the body can't tell the difference between hunger and thirst.
No, there's no difference there. And that's something that they teach you, if you're someone who's looking to have weight loss surgery done, they teach you that, through the spectrum of things. Most of the time, you just need to drink some water. And, I was speaking about this with a friend. I don't want my kids to grow up drinking juices and sodas and stuff like that. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but like I'm one of 4. I have a full biological sister, and then I have 2 half siblings. Growing up, me and my sister, we were very big, like I said before, water drinkers. That's just what we drank. When my little sister and my little brother were born, my 2 half siblings, growing up, they were just constant apple juice drinkers. Apple juice and milk, never water, never anything else. And then later on in life, sodas and stuff like that. And I just remember them just, one, the sugar was just out of control as a kid. Like, they were just bouncing off the goddamn walls.
Yep.
And then 2, their nutrition sucked. Now, I can't talk about nutrition, especially back then, because my nutrition was just out of control. Again, I was the overweight
just in a
kid.
Different place.
Right, just in a different place. But what you consume, again, it doesn't just have to be solid food. The beverages that you consume really have a lot to do with how your body operates. And the way that we introduce nutrition to children on a lower basis, at a younger age, really kind of navigates their future for them. And
I just love.
Go ahead. No.
I was just saying. The reason why I say hydration first too, not only is the most essential thing for our bodies, but number 2, it's so simple.
Yeah.
Do you drink a gallon of water a day or don't you? It's a yes or no. You're not going into how many carbs do you have in a day.
Right.
What's your it is the most simple thing to value and to connect with, because it's either you did or you didn't.
Right. Exactly.
Like there's,
if you're
well,
just starting off, that
and
should
we're
be
not
the
going to
first
get
thing you
into,
change.
well, you got to have the pH, man. We're not going to get into that crap. But just drink a gallon of water a day. So that's step one. Number two, I think on that level of importance and understanding is calories.
Right.
Because you have to know how many calories you're eating a day, because, for example, when you get into macros, I don't care how low your carbs are when it comes to keto. If you're eating 10,000 calories a day of bacon and cream cheese, you ain't losing weight, boys and girls.
Right.
And that's where people get so confused. Well, I'm doing, this is why people do this. They go to keto, okay? They lose all the carbs, which then all that glycogen, all that stuff leaves the muscles, which then all the water weight disappears. So they drop 6 pounds in 2 days. And then they don't lose any more weight. They get so frustrated. Well, it's because your calories are still too high. You drop the water weight, but then your calories are too high.
And they're not burning anything.
Exactly. Right. So then number three, after you get your calories figured out, you whatever system you want to do to make sure you know what you're eating in a day, great. Number three, I'd say is macros is the next important thing, because not all calories are the same. As much people don't want to believe that, and some fitness, you're ridiculous.
Right.
You're telling me that protein, carbs, and fats are the same. They're just not the same. Now, you don't have to go into the details of the minute percentage, but the thing that you and I both agree on where we say this, it's like, focus on a higher protein diet.
Period.
Why? This most simple story that everyone's probably dealt with, or most people. You go to a movie, okay? You buy a movie theater large popcorn. First off, that's like 1,500 calories, and it's primarily carbs and some fat, okay? You eat that whole bag, by a third of the way through the movie, I want another flipping bag.
Yeah.
But if you were to eat 1,300 calories, 1,500 calories in baked chicken, basically protein, that's like 9 chicken breasts.
Yeah.
You'd be peeling away at the gourd trying to eat 9 chicken breasts.
Density.
So
it's all about the density.
It's the density and how it takes a while to metabolize. And
right.
So focusing on a higher protein diet, often you eat less calories because you're focusing on a high protein diet. Now, obviously the muscle, now you get proteins, which all that kind of stuff too. But that's where the simple reasoning is right there.
No one's ever going to look at you funny. If you go to a restaurant, ask someone for double chicken. Like if you're ordering like grilled chicken, no one's ever going to look at you sideways and be like, "Oh, you want more chicken?" But if you want 2 sides of fries, someone's going to like, "Oh, you know what I'm saying?" I don't know. It's just a whole different thought process.
Mm-hmm. No, that's like my go-to. Whenever I go to a restaurant, I always get when I get a salad, I always go for double chicken.
Right.
This is what I do, or double meat, whatever the meat is.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. So obviously focusing on that is important. Number 4 is micros, like your micronutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because we can't deny that it plays a part into how the body works.
Right.
So eat some vegetables. I know most of you guys don't want to eat your vegetables. I don't always like to eat my vegetables, but you should eat your vegetables.
Every Sunday when I meal prep, I'm always like, do I really need to put this flipping zucchini in this thing? Yes, you do.
But the whole thing when it comes to that is just figure out what vegetables you like. If it's exactly. Broccoli, if it's like asparagus was one of my go-tos. I really enjoy asparagus.
I love asparagus.
And it makes your pee smell.
Which is really cool.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. And then, but if you're drinking the water, it doesn't really smell that bad because you're hydrated.
Exactly. But broccoli or whatever you want to do, obviously when you're making these vegetables, be careful of how much oil you're putting in them.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, you see people that like try to make it taste good by just dumping butter and oil in it. Then your calories are going to go through the roof. And so you got to be aware of this. Doesn't mean you can't have a little bit.
Right.
But be aware of what you're putting in.
Steamed vegetables is very good.
Steamed vegetables is good with a little I usually spray on like some kind of like olive oil, but I spray it. I don't like dip it. I just do like a little spray.
Yeah.
And then I put salt and I'm Gucci.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last thing that plays a role, depending on all that kind of stuff, but again, it's the least important, is timing of your eating.
Yes.
It plays a role.
It does, definitely.
And so, for example, I enjoy intermittent fasting.
Right.
I just do. This on the science side of things. I know John's not big into science. I love science.
You know, I don't know.
So
Fuck off.
back in like the 70s and 80s, there was this huge fad of small meals throughout the day. Meals throughout the day.
Yep.
The reason why that was brought about was at the time when science was really getting to metabolism, they found out that when you eat, after you eat, your metabolism goes up because it has to break down the food. And so the assumption was that if you eat small meals throughout the day, you're raising your metabolism. 20 years later, they start getting into more detail within that realm of metabolic boost to eating. Will come to find out that the amount of calories you burn is proportionate to the amount of metabolism boost you get. So whether you eat 2,000 calories in one meal or you eat 2,000 calories over 6 meals, the total metabolic boost is the same.
Right.
So that doesn't matter. And then when you get into it, I find it easier to skip the breakfast. Me
too.
I don't need
it. It's pointless.
I
don't want to say that because it might be beneficial for someone in their schedule, but but for me and David, it's absolutely pointless.
Yeah, it's pointless, and it's just useless calories.
Right.
I would rather have bigger, more deep
dense
meals.
Yeah, exactly.
Than small little bite sizes over a long period of time.
Me too.
But that's when you get into extended fasting and intermittent fasting, where it helps with, say you're pre-diabetic or all this kind of stuff, helps regulate insulin levels, helps regulate sugar levels. And so it has its place. And then I do extended fasting. I enjoy doing 1 or 2 extended fasts a year. John, I don't think you've ever done one, have you? You're like, don't even ask.
No. Nick's done them though.
Nick's done them?
Yeah. Well, because he did he been on the whole Tony Robinson retreats and the juices and the not eating for 3 days thing.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that. Like I do a 5-day fast about once every 3 to 6 months. There's just a lot of good science. Water. Yeah. So a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day. And then if you're doing more than 3 days, you should add salt to your water just because you need the electrolytes. But other than that, that's it. And I mean, there's just good science behind it. Not like you can't. The biggest thing if you're going to do an extended fast, in my opinion, like the biggest thing, like I talk about in my book, is you have to be doing it for a sense of general wellness. It is not it shouldn't be used as a weight loss tactic.
Right.
Because then you're going to get into a dangerous game of, well, I'm just going to eat McDonald's and then starve myself for 6 days.
4 days, yeah.
No, like it's a good scientific thing for like this is learning how the alternator works in your car.
Yeah. Oh,
okay. It's called.
I'm gonna check out now.
It's called autophagia, which basically when your body hasn't eaten any food in 3 days, it switches to like, okay, I need to work as efficiently as possible. So it kills all of the cells in your body that aren't working efficiently.
Oh.
So all your precancerous cells, it kills precancerous cells. It kills anything that's not working efficiently. And so it's just a good thing to do every so often for just general wellness.
Right.
That's why I do it now. I don't do it for weight loss. And
that's cool. I might do it fast one day.
If you ever need help, I got you.
I'll tell you what, if 100 people subscribe to this, I'll do it fast.
Oh, here it is. Challenge accepted. 100 subscribers on YouTube. Is that okay? Yeah. 100 subscribers on YouTube, and John's going to do a 3-day fast.
All right, that was a lot. Maybe like a 2-day fast.
No, it has to be at least 3 days for science.
All right, fine.
I'll do it for
science. Get the health. I'll do it for science, guys.
For science. For the health benefits, 3 days is 72 hours.
If we get 100 subscribers, I'll do a 3-day fast.
All right, there it is. So there it is, boys and girls. Let's go. We can all learn. We're all doing new things too. We ain't perfect. I don't know about vegan.
I just took my balls and I put them on the table.
I do have some. No, we're not gonna go vegan. I'm not talking about that. I love meat too much.
I mean, listen, I've had vegan meals. They're not bad.
Oh, I don't mind vegan. And again, there's nothing wrong with. I have a very tough time with any ideological perfectionist plan. So it drives me nuts.
And here's the big thing. Now, one of my really good friends is vegan. She's totally vegan.
I'm
Kayla,
cool
I know if you're watching, what's up, baby? I love you. But like, I So like I would never go vegan because like it's not that big of a deal. Like I love meat. Like that's just what it is. But like
meat's
I get
bad for you, John.
I know, and I get the idea of like, all right, the animal torture and the whatever.
Oh, I'm against that too. I try to buy live range or free range as much as possible.
Live range, the pasture, whatever the fuck I have to buy to be like kind of a good person, I'll do it. I have no problem with that. But I'm not gonna stop eating meat. Like I'm not gonna make a statement. I'm not the Dalai Lama. I'm not gonna hold the stand, and that's just me. But that is just me. Yeah. And if you feel like that's you, then all the power to you.
That's my whole thing is like I'm just, and this is the whole thing of just freedom. It's like you do what you want to do, right. But it drives me nuts. And like even for example, you get people that are just
don't come at my neck. Don't come at my neck.
And every group has them. Like there's perfectionists with keto, with like, oh, you're gonna live longer because you're controlling your sugar levels and you're gonna live till 150. Shut it. Right. And like vegans have the same issue. There's a lot of different groups that have this, right. But just this false sense of like, oh my gosh, when you watch what's the health, yeah. And they say that eating an egg is equivalent to smoking 2 cigarettes. Oh, go F off. Yeah, show me. It is ridiculous. It's like that stuff. I just want truth. I want authenticity. I want truth, and that is just.
I just want you to eat what you want, be happy, and don't disrespect whatever the hell I'm eating.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah, and I have some good friends. I tell you what, I have one friend. I got a story to tell. Here we go. I love stories. I won't say his name, but I got a buddy of mine who's vegan. He's gluten-free, and I think that's what it was. It was vegan and gluten-free.
That's Kayla too. That's literally, she's the same way. Vegan and gluten-free.
So we were up in the middle of BFE, Northern Michigan, and unless you're in some hoity-toity town, those two combos don't work together.
No.
And so we're in this hoity-toity town and little small bum town, and we're sitting down for breakfast, and the waitress comes by and my buddy goes, so I'm vegan and gluten-free. What do you guys have? And this woman looks at him and goes, we got water. I just started dying. I just couldn't do it. I just started laughing. This is so perfect. I'm like, that's my ongoing joke when you find people that are vegan and like gluten free and stuff. It's like when you see the pictures of like, what am I having for lunch? And it's like ice in like with a fork and knife. It's just funny. But so that's a whole different. But like, just go back to the basics, people, boys and girls. Obviously, hydration. Yes. Drink a gallon of water a day. Number 2, know how many calories you're eating in a day. Number 3, focus on a higher protein diet because it just makes you feel fuller longer. We won't go into the macro-based all that detail. 4, make sure you're getting a diverse micronutrient base. You got to get your vegetables in. You got to eat a fruit or something every so often, or maybe it's just a vitamin mineral complex. Yeah. Just make sure that you're not missing out on micronutrients. And then finally, timing over eating. If all else fails, well, actually, you got to get all those in check, but look at intermittent fasting, extended fasting for all the things going on. That's like it's always like when everyone asks nutrition, that's how I break things down. But I also don't tell them exactly what to do. Right. Because you can't. Nope. You can't. Because I don't know you. I don't know how you like to eat. Right. And I hate
telling people what to do as far as eating goes. Like it makes me uncomfortable because I've been the guy on the other side of the spectrum asking the same question at one point in time. Well, just tell me what to eat. And now knowing what I know, I understand that you can't just tell somebody, okay, this is what you eat. So people online will get mad at me when they say, okay, but just tell me what to eat. And then I either pivot my way around the question, or unfortunately, sometimes I ignore it straight up because I can't answer that for you.
Mm-hmm. But I think, but again, I think you and I, as ALG progresses, it's the whole. I think the reason why it's the way that we're doing, the way that works is it's give a man a fish, teach a man to fish.
Right.
And we have to teach people how to fish, not give the fish. Because again, as soon as it's like ALG, what I want ALG to be is with or without us, there's value that's been created within yourself and learning
Right.
that you can sustain without any of us. Like, that's the biggest thing to me, because most people live in this roller coaster of
Right.
what fitness trainer were they with at the time, what program they're on, and they don't understand learning and adapting to what they're dealing with. And it's just not sustainable.
No.
And that's where it's like, but we also, this is just off of what we have to do, is as we build this community, there does have to be teachings, like, so we can, like, hey, understand this, but figure it out for your own body exactly what you need.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like, it's because, again, you still learned information.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, we learned
it's your
information.
responsibility to take what's valuable and what's invaluable and apply it to your own life.
Exactly. Apply it, figure out what sustains you, figure out what's better. It's like, ooh, I did keto for 90 days and I liked it better than carb cycling. Or, right. I did keto for 6 months. I did this. I tried carb cycling for 6 months and I like carb cycling better. Great.
Right.
That's fantastic. But that's the way you see it, is you see nutrition as different possible programs to take you where you want to go, but the accountability of valuing your decision-making of health doesn't change.
Right.
It doesn't. Because it doesn't matter what program I'm on. I've done, in the last 7 years of my weight loss transformation, I've done intermittent fasting, extended fasting, carb cycling, macro counting, calorie counting. I've done keto. I've done high carb. I've done low carb, which is keto and low carb are not exactly the same.
But it's very similar.
They're very similar.
I went on a mock keto.
Yeah, because I tried keto where I was eating 75% fat a day, and I didn't like it.
Right.
But I like low carb.
Yeah, I like low carb. I like low carb, high protein.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
But again,
but when you make the decision that you're going to live an accountable, healthy life, the program is easier to do, and the decision making to make better choices is easier and simpler, and you don't get bogged down with, is this going to be the time?
Right.
Is keto going to be the secret fix?
Right.
Because it's no longer
secret fix.
Yeah, there's no secret fix. You don't get in this position where it's like you're trying to find this secret nugget that's been somehow evading you. Like, right. Oh my God, it's over there somewhere. It's like, no, it's not how this works.
Like, I don't care. And I say this all the time. I don't care what your program is. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're vegan, keto, paleo, anything.
Cocaine and strippers.
Healthy, right. As long as you're healthy and happy and you enjoy your lifestyle, then great for you.
Do it.
Yeah.
100%. I just don't care. Like, it
doesn't bother me.
Well, because you sit there and it's like, it is so funny to me that we get into these nitty-gritty arguments about nutrition, trying to find this golden ticket to live forever.
Right.
And I'm sorry, boys and girls, you ain't.
No. Yeah.
So live a healthy life that gives you the optimal energy, the optimum vitality, but like, don't get caught up in, I want to save 2 years to my life. Like, living to 102 versus 100 makes any difference.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Any last words? We went for like 50 minutes. That was good.
That was good. Make sure you take a multivitamin.
Take a multivitamin. I agree. Yeah. Whatever. And then whatever. Now, make sure, off the nuances of that, I've done a lot of it. I'm the science guy. Science. Be careful on vitamin minerals, because also at the same time, because your men's one a day, your big companies, they're a little off because they put all of this dense pill into your stomach, but they don't metabolize well because they're full of binders and all this kind of stuff. So make sure, I'd recommend focus on powders over big binded pills. If you're going to do gummies or capsules, don't do a big binded pill. Do either powder, gummies, or capsules that like dissolve easy in the gut, because the big thick horse pills that are all binded. They don't absorb very well in the gut.
Yeah.
So that's
Centrums,
just,
I used to shit them right out. I'll be honest with you.
Yep.
They used to literally come out the same way they went in.
yeah, exactly, because that's how they're made.
Yeah.
Because all they have to do is make sure they get to the gut, because that's a whole nuance, but like legally they just have to know that what's in it's in it, and it makes it past the gut into the intestines. That's on a legal standpoint, it's all they have to do. They don't have to legally tell you absorption rates. They don't have to legally tell you this kind of stuff, and they just have to make sure it goes from the acid stomach into the intestines, and if they can prove that, they're good. And so there are some mischievous companies out there that look at all the vitamins and minerals you get, but you're not absorbing any of them. But feel good about yourself.
It's all a game. You have to play the game.
Yep. But again, it comes down to
you have to play the game.
Try something for 6 months, 6 weeks, see how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Adjust. Even if you feel great, try something else.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to switch it up.
Don't be afraid to switch it up.
You can always go back.
Yeah, you can always go back. And like, that's where I had when I was really losing weight, but I was getting into more bodybuilding side of things, I wanted to see how a higher carb diet, that the generic kind of system, how that worked for me. I did it for, I don't know, like probably 14 weeks. And I just didn't like it.
What were you eating?
Just a lot of rice, a lot of carbs. So like, instead of like right now, my general macros is like 40, 40, 20.
All right.
So like 40% protein, 40% fat, 20% carbs.
Yeah.
I was like the 60, 40, 20. So 60% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat.
Wow.
And I just didn't like it.
How bloated did you feel?
There was a lot of bloat. It was a lot of bloat, a lot of gassy. I was very gassy. Yeah. And other people would like, wait, you only eat 40% or 20% carbs a day and you still lift heavy? I'm like, yeah.
For me, it's all about timing of carbs.
Yep.
Because like I eat very few carbs, but I need to make sure that I get my carbs in at least a half hour to 45 minutes before I lift, because there's such a night and day difference.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And especially if you're buffering it all. That's one that's very interesting to me though, is when people live in the hybrid state of low carb, where they sit between like 50 and 100 a day.
Right.
Because unless you time it right before your gym, your workout, it's tough, because it's like you're not low enough where your body's using ketones, really, but you're not high enough where you're not using enough carbs, and so it's unless you use them just before lifting, which is probably what you're doing, and it works.
Yeah.
It's tough on a lot of people because they try to buffer the carbs throughout the day, and it's like, oh god, eating like 25 carbs a day or 25 carbs a meal over 3 meals, and you're getting like 75 carbs in. You're like, oh. Tough on some people.
I'm trying to even think what my carbs would be. Because I eat like a half a cup of rice to a cup of rice each meal 3 times before I lift, and then I have a protein gimmick before I walk in. So
I love it too, though. I love how just nonchalant you are with your nutrition. And
I know I don't feel like people are not gonna like it. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't like it, but yeah, I am. I'm very nonchalant when it comes to it. Like I don't eat bad. I don't eat fast food. I don't eat bread. I don't eat, and I keep my diet very high protein based and very low carb based. And I have a great time doing it. And I hack my foods that I used to love. And I live a little sometimes, but I'm not out there, like you said before.
100%.
I don't walk down the street to the pizza place and order 3 slices of pizza anymore. It's just not who I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm content. I'm happy.
Yeah. And that's the program that works great for you. I, on the other hand, like when I was making the decision, like, because I'd made the deal with my parents at the end of college, if I didn't lose a significant amount of weight, I'd get gastric.
Right.
And a piece of the puzzle, honestly, for me, was I want to still have the ability to eat if I so desire in certain situations.
So here's the thing, and I'm going to be really honest with people. I'm 5 years out from my weight loss surgery. I can eat if I want to. That's the name of the game. Like, it's not something that
stomach's
lasts
kind
forever.
of brought. Yep.
Right. It's brought back. There's still restriction. Don't get me wrong, but I could fucking eat if I want to. But I just know better now. Like, I just don't feel the need to overeat.
Mm-hmm.
You retrain this.
Yep.
This will follow, but retrain this.
100%. Yeah, but it is so funny because I love occasionally just Binging is a tough term because I wouldn't say it's a full on. It all depends because I don't perceive it as a binge because like it's not like I'm sitting there getting sick eating,
Right.
but like I'll probably once every 2 weeks, 2 weeks or so, I'll eat an entire large Domino's pizza with some brownies.
Good for you.
I'll
That
hammer it,
works into your life. Yeah.
and I work it in my life. Yeet.
But I'm a big snacker. I was a snacker when, I was heavy. Like I like real food, don't get me wrong, but I am the type of guy that I like to watch TV at night and I like to chew on something. So that's what I save my eating for. It's a weird system that I have, but it works for me. I buy my high protein snacks and I enjoy my Quest chips while I watch whatever the hell I'm watching.
Yeet. I
That's
dig
just
it.
me. Yeah.
Dope. All right, fam. That was us blabbing for a little bit.
Yeah, that was just a big old rant.
That was the big old rant, and I hope you guys got some value out of it. We kept it. I did want to share something that was concrete. I personally like that 5 steps.
I like
sort of
open
deal.
discussion,
But yeah, I love just kind of shooting the shit and just people. And I know people are gonna watch this one through and through because it's like nutrition hacks. Here we go. Everyone loves to hear that noise. So I hope you guys got some great value from this. Until next time.
See you later.